Well, we're gonna do a video about Dexter.
This may be the last ad you ever see. Because with the free ad block extension from Capital One Shopping, you can say goodbye to ads on sites like YouTube. No more interruptions, just nonstop streaming on your favorite sites. And while we're blocking ads,
when you hear the name Dexter Morgan, you're probably thinking of the version from the original TV show, or maybe even the younger, older versions from the 2 spin-offs. But what if I told you there are actually 7 different versions of America's favorite serial killer, including one that appears in a freaking Marvel comic? For the past 12 months, I've been deep down the Dexter rabbit hole. I watched every show, read every book, not once, but twice, and studied every adaptation I could possibly get my hands on. And no, I am not losing my mind. Yes, I have an addiction, but that's beside the point. Because in today's video, I'm breaking down every official version of Dexter Morgan across all media, and this is how I'm gonna do it. So to make things as simple as possible, I have structured each version like this. What makes them unique?
You never heard of Dexter? Wait, what? You never heard of Dexter? For Hey, I know somebody who go off on you for saying that, man.
And how do they compare to one another? What universe are they part of, and to what other versions do they connect to? Some quick facts about the series: their darkest and most disturbing kill, the most memorable villain they've ever faced, and for some versions I will also bring up inconsistencies in the storyline. And at the very end I will be ranking them all in a tier list, but I won't tell you what I will base my rankings on just yet, so you just gotta stick around to find out. So here we have all the 7 versions that I'm gonna be covering in today's video, and while each of these guys are widely different in terms of tone and execution, they all share the same origin. So all of them witnessed the brutal murder of their mother as young children in a shipping container, and then all of them got adopted by Harry.
Sign the contract, big boy.
And then later all of them got trained and taught the code by Harry. Yeah, so I just wanted to get that out now so I don't have to repeat myself in every version, because that will get quite boring. So we're starting off with arguably the most underrated version of them all, Dexter from Dexter Early Cuts, and this is the younger version of Michael C. Hall's Dexter from the TV shows. The thing that really separates this one from the rest is just how much of a menace this guy is, okay? And you will understand what I mean very soon. We follow him during some of his very first kills, in a time when he's still experimenting with how to kill and dispose of his victims, still trying to figure out what truly satisfies the urges of the dark passenger. And it's during this process Dexter's wicked sense of humor and flair for the theatrics really starts to shine through. Every kill room and ritual is uniquely tailored to the victim, and
so I haven't seen Dexter, but I watched a whole 7-hour retrospective on the whole series, right? So this all finna be news for me. High key, this all finna be news for me. Except for probably some of the stuff that happened in Chuck. So
almost every line he delivers to his helpless, soon-to-be dead targets is a dark joke or a twisted reference to their crimes. Sure, most versions of Dexter have that ironic flair, but this Dexter, he takes it to the next level. And before we dive into this version's darkest and most disturbing kill, which by the way might actually be the most disturbing out of any of these versions, I want to give you a bit of context. So Dexter Early Cuts is a 3-season long emotion comic web series with each episode running about 3 minutes. It aired between 2009 and 2012 and features Michael C. Hall as the voice of Dexter. This series takes place before season 1 of the TV show and serves as a prequel, giving us a look into Dexter's earliest kills. In many ways, Early Cuts walked so Dexter's original sin could run. Visually, the show is unlike anything else in the Dexter universe. Each story uses a completely different art style, from comic book panels to gritty pencil sketches to surreal pastel paintings. Each aesthetic brings out a different layer of Dexter's personality, and the result is honestly stunning. Now let's talk about his darkest and most disturbing kill. The victim is Cindy Landon, a magician's assistant and a textbook Black Widow. She had married and murdered 3 wealthy older men and clearly wasn't planning to stop anytime soon. After Dexter hits her with the M99, she wakes up on an abandoned theater stage, trapped inside a magician's box, the kind used for the old sawing a woman in half trick. She's panicked, begging for her life, even offering to sleep with Dexter if he lets her go. Dexter calmly responds, "This is so much more fun." Then he picks up the chainsaw and adds,
"Oh, this nigga's sadistic."
To make her disappear.
And with that, he literally saws her in half. She's still alive as it happens, screaming in pain, while Dexter smiles, soaked in red, completely satisfied. It's gruesome, it's theatrical, and it really sums up what this version of Dexter is all about. He's playful, sadistic, and completely unhinged.
This nigga's
And now
crazy.
to this Dexter's most memorable antagonist, Alex Timmons. So Alex Timmons, he is a former Marine sniper. He murdered multiple children when he served in the Gulf War, getting away with it with only a slap on the wrist. Dexter kills him in a room filled with hunting trophies, and this is what inspires him to start collecting trophies of his
Ain't Dexter whole thing like killing people who like only deserve it? Like, ain't that like his whole thing? Am I wrong? We're gonna assume I'm right.
own. Now, even though this version of Dexter is technically meant to be the same one from the TV show, there are definitely some continuity issues here, okay? Small details, but still worth pointing out. For example, in season 1 of the original TV show, we actually get to see a flashback of Cindy Landon on Dexter's kill table, and in that flashback, she seems to be wrapped in plastic. But now we know that in early cuts, she dies while chained inside a magician's box, so not quite the same. Some more continuity errors show up when we take a closer look at the dates presented in early cuts. First off, like we covered earlier, according to early cuts, Dexter took his first trophy when he killed Alex Timmons, and this happened in 2003. We also learned that Dexter kills an arsonist named Gene Marshall in 1993, 10 years prior to Alex. But in a flashback in the original TV show, Gene has a sliced cheek while lying on Dexter's table, and that suggests that Dexter took a blood slide a full decade before Alex Timmons. So either Dexter was lying about his first trophy, or the timeline just doesn't add up, or Dexter just likes to
The timeline probably just don't add up for real.
violate cheeks. And if that wasn't confusing enough, now that we have a Dexter Original Sin, which like early cuts is a prequel to the original show, the contradicting storylines really starts to pile up. While early cuts gave us a cold, raw and theatrical Dexter, Original Sin introduces an entirely different take on the character's early days, an even more inexperienced, clumsy and emotionally messy Dexter. What sets this version apart from all the others is just how socially awkward and unaware it comes across. And this is a version of Dexter where we focus a lot more on him trying to blend in and pretending to be human than on him developing his skills as a serial killer. It's like the complete opposite of
Dexter, like
Dexter
the
early
whole,
cuts,
like,
where the main
sociopath?
focus was him experimenting with different ways to kill and dispose. Dexter Original Sin is the latest entry in the franchise and serves as the official prequel to the original TV show. It takes place in the same timeline as the Michael C. Hall series and follows a 20-year-old Dexter Morgan as he begins working at Miami Metro for the first time, while also navigating the early days of his dark passenger. Despite being in the same universe as the original Dexter, this version of Dexter is portrayed by Patrick Gibson on screen, with the connecting force being Michael C. Hall as the inner voice. The show premiered in 2024 and have had one season so far, with a second one already being confirmed. Now let's talk about his darkest and most disturbing kill, and compared to some of the other versions, this one might seem a bit tame. But within the context of Original Sin, it really hits hard, okay? Because it's his first kill. The victim is Nurse Mary, a classic case of an angel of death, and what makes this kill the darkest in Original Sin is what this moment represents. It's the moment that changes everything. The moment Dexter crosses the line and there's no going back. This is truly the moment when Dexter becomes the barbecue bacon burger. Sorry, this is truly the moment where Dexter becomes a full-blown killer, my bad. And also the aesthetic of the kill has to count for something here. I mean, he went all in on the plastic, even covering himself, so that looked a bit creepy, and the kill got quite messy as well. And now for this version's most memorable antagonist, Captain Aaron Spencer. Aaron Spencer was the homicide captain in the Miami Metro Police Department and Dexter's first major antagonist. He's a child kidnapper and murderer, with the motive being to get back at his wife for cheating on him. And now let's go over some of the inconsistencies with this version, because even though he's the younger version of Michael C. Hall's Dexter, far from everything lines up perfectly. For example, in Original Sin, he cuts his hair short between his first and second kill, but in the original show we clearly see that he still had his long hair for several kills. Also, this version takes earrings as a trophy from his first kill, and like I explained before, this contradicts what's shown in early cuts, which is also supposed to be a prequel to the original show, because in early cuts it's heavily implied that Dexter didn't take any kind of trophies until he killed Alex Timmons, which was at least his 11th kill.
Mecha Break is now available with Google Play Games on PC. Become the
Now we're getting to the most iconic version of them all, Dexter Morgan from the original TV series. This right here is the blueprint, okay? The version that really defined what Dexter is all about, and what makes this version so special isn't just one or two things, it's pretty much everything. Because this was the first version of Dexter to appear on screen, and it was a dearly dramatic departure from the character in the books it was based on. The biggest difference, and the one thing that really makes this version of Dexter stand out from the rest, gotta be how much he changes throughout the show. When we first meet him, he's convinced he doesn't feel emotions. Every smile, every gesture, every moment of small talk at Miami Metro is carefully performed, part of a mask. And during this time, he's in his serial killer prime. His kills are clean, calculated and efficient, everything goes smoothly. But as the seasons go on, he starts to develop real feelings. Feelings like love, anger, anxiety and regret. And he forms deep bonds with the people in his life, and suddenly the mask isn't just a mask anymore. And that changes everything. The more human he becomes, the worse he gets at killing, mistakes pile up, kills rarely goes as planned, and the perfect system he once lived by starts to fall apart. This level of emotional evolution is something no other version of Dexter gives us. Dexter aired on Showtime from 2006 to 2013 and ran for 8 seasons, totaling 96 episodes. This version of Dexter, portrayed by Michael C. Hall, is the definitive screen adaptation and the one most people think of when they hear the name Dexter Morgan. It's a part of the same timeline as Dexter Early Cuts, Dexter Original Sin and Dexter New Blood, making it the central pillar of the TV universe. Now, when it comes to dark and disturbing kills, the original TV version of Dexter gives us plenty to choose from. But if we're talking about the one thing that hits the absolute hardest, it has to be when Dexter kills his own brother, Brian Moser. The moment is tragic, powerful and deeply symbolic. It marks the first time Dexter is genuinely conflicted about taking a life, and it's the beginning of something new. A more emotionally complex Dexter, one capable of loyalty, grief and even love. And now to the most memorable antagonist, Arthur Mitchell, aka the Trinity Killer. He is the main villain in season 4 of Dexter, and he poses as a loving family man, but secretly commits ritualistic murders across the country based on his own childhood trauma. Dexter delays killing him because he wants to be able to balance his double life as a serial killer, and he thinks he can learn this skill from Arthur. But this
I thought like his most like I forgot what you said, like his most important antagonist would be like, you know, the black dude. You say, oh, that's so sad. Tighten up.
Ultimately results in Dexter's wife Rita getting murdered. Honorable mention goes to George King, aka the Skinner. Now we're moving on to the oldest version of Dexter, and oldest I mean in terms of age, and this is the one we meet in Dexter New Blood. When we first see him, it's been 10 years since his last kill. He's faked his death and built a quiet life in the small town of Iron Lake, going by the name Jem Lindsay. He's got a steady job, a girlfriend, and he is a well-known and respected guy in this small community. But underneath it all, he is constantly battling and suppressing the urges of the dark passenger. And when he eventually gives in and starts to kill people again, it's clear that he is not the same calculated killer we once knew. He's sloppy, reckless, and leaves a bunch of evidence behind. In fact, I will go as far as to say that this version of Dexter is the worst one when it comes to being a serial killer. Even Dexter in Original Sin is a better one in my opinion, but the thing that really sets this version apart is the overwhelming guilt he feels. Unlike in the original show, where guilt shows up in brief waves, usually after a major death, here it's constant. He's literally being haunted by his dead sister Deborah, now a manifestation of his guilt, whispering in his ear, judging his every move. And also, in what he believes to be his final moments in the end of New Blood, he flashes back to people he's hurt, and this clearly shows that he feels bad for some of his actions. All of this really drives home the same point we made in the last segment, that the more Dexter becomes human, the worse he gets at being a serial killer. And Dexter New Blood is a sequel to the original show, set nearly a decade after Dexter faked his death in Miami. The show premiered in 2021 on Showtime and ran for one season with 10 episodes. Now, let's talk about this version's darkest and most disturbing kill, and it's without a doubt when Dexter kills Logan. This situation unfolded when Dexter got arrested and put in a cell for being a suspected killer. Logan was just doing his job, and Dexter, he was just following his code. Rule number 1, don't get caught. So he breaks his neck and escapes. And what makes this moment so dark is the fact that Logan doesn't even remotely come close to fitting Dexter's code. He is a good, by-the-book policeman and a complete innocent. Now for the most memorable antagonist, Kurt Caldwell. On the surface, Kurt is a charming, generous and friendly truck stop owner. but underneath he's a complete monster. He's been an active serial killer for decades, targeting teenage girls he refers to as runaways. He lures them in his fake motel room in a bunker where he locks them up, and then after they have panicked for a while, he releases them only to shoot them while they are fleeing. And I also gotta add that this guy's trophy room is one of the weirdest and most disturbing things I've seen on TV ever. I am not a big, horror guy by any means, so I haven't watched, so many horror movies. So for me, this one is probably the most disturbing thing I've seen on TV. You can call me soft in the comments, but yeah, that one really freaked me out, and it really made Kurt a very memorable antagonist. Now let's talk about inconsistencies. While this version of Dexter is meant to be the same one we followed in the original series, there is one major error, okay, and it's huge. Because throughout the original show, Dexter sedates his victims using M99, an animal tranquilizer mentioned many times, clearly established as his go-to method. But in Dexter New Blood, that detail is suddenly rewritten, and it's implied that Dexter had always used ketamine instead. Now we're getting into the real juicy stuff. Dexter Morgan from the Marvel comic books. And this is an interesting one, because until like 3 months ago I had no idea that there even were any Dexter comics, let alone any Dexter Marvel comics. Unlike the ones we've covered so far, this version isn't a part of the TV series, it's a part of the novel universe. Which means that we're seeing the original Jeff Lindsay version of Dexter, but for the first and only time illustrated. Now the differences between the TV versions wasn't that big, and rightfully so, since they're all meant to be the same Dexter. But the differences between TV Dexter and comic and book Dexter is huge. So huge in fact that I've broken this section into 3 different categories. Physical differences, personality differences, and differences in family life. So for number 1, physical differences. This Dexter does for the most part not look like Michael C. Hall. Instead we got a clean-cut, brown-haired Dexter who's 100% based on the description of him in the novels.
That was clearly Falcon Color Shadow. What is he talking about?
And the reason why I say for the most part is because in the cover of issue 5, he actually has the same exact hairstyle and facial features as his TV counterpart. Number 2, personality differences. This Dexter is much colder and far less emotionally conflicted than his TV counterpart. He's also not as socially awkward, and he knows exactly what to say to the ladies. And when it comes to his killing, he's on top of his game pretty much all the time. A pretty good way to describe him is this. He's like TV Dexter from season 1 when it comes to being a serial killer, and like season 7 Dexter when it comes to acting normal, blending in, and talking to the huss. Number 3, differences in family life. His family life looks a bit different in the comic and book versions, and for this section I've decided to combine both the comic and book Dexter since they are the same character. And I'll do this so I don't have to repeat myself when we cover the book version. I know it might seem a little confusing right now, but it will make sense in just a bit. So first of all the family members we know from the show are still there, everyone except for Harrison. Instead of Harrison, Dexter actually has a daughter with Rita, and they have this daughter in book 5, and she's named Lillian. And from book 6 and forward, he also has a nephew named Nicholas Morgan, of course Deborah's son. The biggest difference when it comes to family dynamics between TV Dexter and comic book Dexter is that Deborah, which by the way is spelled like this in the books, finds out about Dexter's secret much earlier on in the story, already in the first book. And also that Dexter doesn't kill his brother Brian. So Brian Moser is alive in all of the books, and Deborah knows Dexter's secret from the end of book 1 and forward. The Dexter comic books were published by Marvel in 2013 and 2014, split into 2 separate 5-issue miniseries, Dexter and Dexter Down Under. Both were written by Jeff Lindsay, the author of the original Dexter novels, which means that these stories are canon to the book universe. These comics are the only time we get to see Lindsay's version of Dexter in a fully illustrated format, and they offer a rare visual glimpse into the world of the novels. And just like the TV show, Dexter works as a blood spatter analyst, but he works at Miami-Dade instead of Miami Metro. And now to his darkest and most disturbing kill. After being captured and enslaved, Dexter finds him in one of the most hopeless situations we have ever seen him in. He's beaten, humiliated, and
Can we get a little like backstory on why he was captured and enslaved, buddy? Like, can't just say that.
forced into manual labor by a sadistic enforcer named Octavio, a man who tasers him for fun and treats him like property. But you can't keep the dark passenger down for long, okay? Dexter is not an easy guy to have as a captive. He, fights back, he actually cuts out the tongue of one of the guards, and eventually he even breaks free. Armed with a pitchfork, he confronts Octavio and then brutally stabs him in the neck, killing him. And I don't know how you could, stab someone in the neck with a fork in a non-brutal way, now that I think about it, but you get what I mean. This kill isn't as dark as some of the other versions that I've brought up, but in all honesty, there weren't much to choose from in the comics. But stabbing someone with a fork is pretty wild though, so I think it's pretty valid. Not stabbing a guy with a fork, I mean, it's pretty valid that this is the most darkest and disturbing kill, okay? Don't cancel me. Bruce Grigsby is the main villain in Dexter Down Under. A wealthy Australian businessman hiding behind philanthropy, he secretly leads a white supremacist group and hunts immigrant families for sport. And I'm actually surprised that they didn't utilize this antagonist in a bigger media. There's just so much that you can explore in a comic book format, and I feel like this villain had the caliber to carry an entire book or maybe even an entire season on TV. So I was a little bit surprised by that. And before we move on to Dexter in the books, I want to share something pretty cool I discovered when I did the research for this video. And it has to do with another antagonist from the comics named Steve Gonzalez. Now the cool thing about Steve Gonzalez is that he actually appears in the third Dexter book, Dexter in the Dark. So he's a character that is a direct connection between the comics and the book series. In Dexter in the Dark, he appears in one of Dexter's flashbacks, a flashback to when Dexter was still in high school. It turns out that Gonzalez was his bully, and in the flashback we see that Dexter tried to kill him with a scalpel. Nothing super important by any means, but I found it pretty cool that Dexter tried to kill Gonzalez as a kid, and then ends up doing it later when they are adults. Now we're diving into the original version of Dexter Morgan, the one who started it all, Dexter from the novels by Jeff Lindsay. And let me tell you, this version is by far the darkest of them all. While the comic series gave us a glimpse of Book Dexter in illustrated form, the novels take us deeper inside his mind than any other medium. We're not just watching his kills or hearing his inner monologue, we're practically living inside his head. The books are written in first person, so you hear all his unfiltered thoughts all the time, and they are sharper, colder and more arrogant. There's less doubt and less moral conflict. This version of Dexter isn't trying to change or become human, he's just trying not to get caught. And while the TV version slowly becomes more emotionally complex, the Dexter in the books leans further into his darkness, all while maintaining a disturbingly calm and charming exterior. Jeff Lindsay, the author, says that Dexter is a man you shouldn't be seduced by. Some believe that Dexter cares about justice. Dexter doesn't care about justice, he cares about killing. This really highlights the differences between Book Dexter and the one we see in the TV show that actually has some sense of justice. Another thing that's exclusive to the novels is his connection to the supernatural.
In the book, he's straight demon. Straight demon.
In the third book, Dexter in the Dark, we learn that Dexter's dark passenger isn't just a metaphor for trauma or violent urges, it's an actual ancient entity. A dark force.
Oh, he's an actual demon. He's in the book, he's an actual demon. No metaphor.
That have existed for centuries, possessing people with violent tendencies, feeding off of their brutality. This storyline received major backlash, so it was quietly dropped in future books. So to this day, Dexter in the Dark remains the only novel to treat the Dark Passenger as a literal supernatural being. But I thought, it is worth including it in this video, even though it only happens in one book. Also, a fun fact about this version of Dexter is that he hasn't actually killed any of the main antagonists except for the two we see in the comics, Steve Gonzalez and Bruce Grigsby. So in the book series, he hasn't actually killed any of the main antagonists, which is, pretty crazy compared to the one we see in the TV show, because the one we see in the TV show kills pretty much every major antagonist. The Dexter book series was written by...
How you an actual demon in a book, but ain't kill none of your antagonists? That's fucking crazy.
Jeff Lindsay, and consists of 8 novels, starting with Darkly Dreaming Dexter in 2004 and ending with Dexter is Dead in...
How you got more books in the show but not in the book? How you got more bodies in the show but not in the books?
2015. So the darkest and most disturbing kill gotta be when Dexter and Brian tortures a cartel member named Ivan to death. The book doesn't go so much into details with this one, so I can't really talk about it so much. They mutilated him in some way, the rest is up to your imagination.
This year for back to school, Shoe Station and Shoe Carnival are stamping all your favorite brands with our lowest price.
And now
It's
the
hard
most
to let
memorable
anything too bad.
antagonist, Dr. Danko, the villain from Dearly Devoted Dexter, which is the second book in the series. He is a former military surgeon and torturer. Driven by revenge, he is targeting his ex-military comrades from his old unit. His method of choice for getting back at them is capturing them and mutilating them beyond recognition. While they are still alive and awake, he removes their tongues, limbs, eyelids, pretty much everything except for what's essential for life. And he forces them to watch the entire process by propping up a mirror in front of them. And now to the version of Dexter we see in the games. And to be honest with you, I don't have much to say about this one. This version isn't
Yeah,
really much of a version at all, because for the most part it only consists of scenes and events directly taken from the original TV show. It's just the exact same as the original TV version, but with bad graphics. So even if Dexter in the games didn't offer anything new, it would feel wrong not to include them in this video. So I just wanted to, acknowledge its existence. And now for some good old facts about the games, okay? There are actually 3 official games. The first one, Dexter the Game, came out in 2009 for iOS and later for Mac and PC, and it follows the plot of season 1 and features voice acting by none other than the GOAT Michael C. Hall. Then came Dexter the Game 2, and it had a very limited release and pretty much disappeared from the app stores shortly after. And Dexter Slice of Life in 2011, and that one takes place during the events of season 6. And now I'm gonna rank all 7 versions of Dexter from the best one when it comes to being a serial killer to the worst one when it comes to being a serial killer. And I will do this in a tier list, just like I said in the intro. So here we go. I will keep it simple, S through C, with S being the best one at being a killer and C1 being the worst. Starting off here with early cuts. He's going in B tier. He's in his early stages of his career. Not the best one, definitely not the worst one. Original scene, he is in the very, very beginning of his, serial killer career. He makes a bunch of mistakes, very messy. His cover life is not that good either. He's going in C tier. And now New Blood, and just
Hold on. I'm working myself. I'm working myself, right? So I'm play original TV show on S tier, right? S tier Dexter, right? Oh snap! Hold on, chat. Actually, hold on. Right. Uh, the rank. Hold on. Actually, boom. I'm finna rank this real quick. Boom. Right. Original, original TV show. Boom. Top one. Right. Top one. S tier. Right. I'll put. I'll put. Right. I'm putting him S tier because he killed all his main antagonists. Right. I'll put right under that. Right. I'll put early cuts A tier. Right. Because he was moving crazy. He was moving crazy in early cuts. Then I put New Blood. I'm not gonna lie. New Blood gotta go like B tier. Like he getting too sloppy with his work and everything, right? I put him in like B tier. Game version going straight F tier. I don't care if it's not on the list. He's going F tier. Then comic book version. I'll put comic book version like Beater, right? Because he wasn't doing too much. He wasn't going too crazy. But like I feel like he you know he was doing what he was doing, right? Uh, I'll put the young version of him. Probably like for him to be young and like moving how he was moving. He was only what 20, killing people. I gotta put him at like A tier. He was moving crazy, right? Book version, he didn't kill none of his main antagonists. He's going straight. I wanna say bottom of the barrel, but since it's like the original OG, and that's a literal demon he has inside of him, he can beat her. What you think? What you think? What you think? I think the rate ranking valid ranking everything. But hold on. I gotta do something quick. I gotta do something quick. We're gonna go just chatting. Then we're gonna do this. Boom, right? Meet that. And then I need to call Leah. Hey, uh, all right. So my uncle, right? You remember I told him he got the friend guitar thing and all that. I told you that, right? He wants to come pick up the guitar to fix it, right? To put the string in and all that. Is that cool? Yeah, yeah. I don't know. That's all for the X. Okay. All right. I'm on streaming right now. Yeah, they can't hear you right now, so it's not cool. Yeah. All right. We're gonna boom. Yeah, I can hear me right. No, I wasn't calling my. Hey man, shut up. No, I wasn't doing it.